getting some sort of structure to here's the activities that you can do in the morning, that you can do in the afternoon, and then obviously in the evening to try to push the needle forward on your business. So just highlighting the system schedules for a six-figure real estate agent, and just some things that a newer agent can kind of use to structure their day. Because as a newer agent, sometimes your activity isn't as high as like an experienced agent in terms of going on showings or listing appointments. So just getting some sort of structure to here's the activities that you can do in the morning, that you can do in the afternoon, and then obviously in the evening to try to push the needle forward on your business. So I'll start it with just some morning ones, and then we'll obviously just go back and forth on maybe some things that you do in the mornings to try to, or some of the activities that you do in the morning to try to push the needle forward on your business, and then obviously what I do. And we can just kind of combine and spark some ideas for new people. So the morning to me, what I've got in mind is that it's a revenue generating activities are only taking place in the morning. So what that consists of is prospecting calls. So people that you're showing houses to, or new leads that have came into your database, or drip campaigns that have assigned a call to you for that specific day. That's what you're doing in the morning, is just following up with those people, whether it be through a text message or a phone call or even a personal video. I've seen some people do that before. And then something, the biggest reason why we put that following up or prospecting as a revenue generating activity is just because the more that you follow up with people, one, the more likely they are to purchase something with you, but two, also on the flip of that is when they go to refer you, or when somebody that they know is looking for a realtor, they'll go more than likely they'll go to refer you because you've just over communicated extremely well.
Right. That's a good point.
So just some things that you touch base with like, who do you touch base with on Mondays usually, or in the mornings?
So Mondays is usually every Monday is going to be our going over all of our pendings with our coordinator, and any new listings that we have. So again, that gets into your schedule and your you know, the systems. So we have an entire spreadsheet where we put everything in there. So again, going through the pendings and the new listings with our coordinator, our closer, and then from there is following up with all of the sellers or the listings that you have, giving them the feedback for the previous weeks, feedback showings, open houses, things like that. Always do that. We always do that on a Monday.
Yeah.
So we time block that and get that done. So first thing, 8 o'clock is the pending meetings, and then by 9 o'clock we're doing the follow up with our sellers and our buyers. And the buyers are basically like, just again going back through and looking at the hot sheet, what's new for the market, looking at anything that's actually been emailed to any active buyers, and then getting those buyers, or looking at those properties and getting those buyers to actually schedule an appointment and to go see those properties.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people overthink this is if you have a CRM, in our case, it's KV Core. Some of the campaigns that we've created are for people that are under contract on a house, or people that we've shown houses to. And in those campaigns, you can actually schedule the calls. So on the seventh day, or on the second day, or whatever day that you feel is appropriate to touch base with a client, you can actually put that in your drip campaign. So it sends you an email in the morning. Here's the calls that you've got to make today. And it'll just literally tell you exactly who you need to call, and which part of the process that they're in. So somebody who's under contract might get a call on the ninth day, just to make sure that all the repairs have been negotiated appropriately. Or somebody who's a new buyer or a new lead might get a call on the second day, just to make sure that they're getting everything that they need from us. So having them scheduled in that campaign and automated to just, you wake up, look at the email, it tells you who you need to call, and you go make those calls that morning. At least that's what we do. And I feel like that's been pretty easy and seamless for us.
Right. Yep.
And then
Yeah,
another,
oh, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was going to say, like early on, like we have a buyer, new buyer checklist, new seller checklist, and all those checklists we've actually integrated into our KV Core. But at the very least, if you're not using a CRM or you're just not using a system, you got to get that checklist. That's the first step for your system, making sure you don't miss something along the
Yeah.
way, especially those time sensitive
Mhm.
things.
Yeah, and
Go
it's a
ahead.
lot of upfront work. You make the drip campaigns upfront before you start assigning people to them. But as soon as they're made, then you just start assigning it to everybody that comes in, and you don't have to keep recreating campaigns. You just make it once, set it and forget it, and then assign people to it as it goes on.
Yep.
Another thing is in the mornings, you always got to look for a way to continue to grow the business. And in real estate, the only way to grow your business is by attracting leads, and then obviously after that, converting leads. So another activity that we try to do in the morning is attract new leads. And there's a number of ways that you can do this. On KV Core, we can do property boosts. You can also do social media posts. Um, Landing pages, creating landing pages that are effective and actually convert people into your website with contact information. So that's another example of a revenue generating activity. And then just anything else on here that's a direct correlation to revenue. And in my opinion, that would be like creating ads, Facebook, Google, Instagram ads, whatever it may be. But creating ads to try to either generate more traffic to your profile or generate more traffic to your post or to your website. Um,
Hmm.
if there's any other activities that I'm leaving off from there, feel free to chime in and bring them up.
Yeah, so I mean, one thing that we're big on is open houses. So usually the start of the week is kind of like, okay, if you and again, if you don't have listings, go find them because what we have found is that people just don't like to do open houses, and that could be for whatever reason. And we do them, I would say, usually stay away from Mondays, but we've done open houses on Tuesdays through Sunday. So again, if you have no business, like zero business, you have no leads, that's the fastest way to grow your business because it's a billboard, it's a free advertisement, and people are actually walking in the door into your store for the day for that time frame. So that allows you to, to bring in. That's another lead source that we rely heavily
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point because a lot of people if you just reach out to them and ask them to do an open house on their listing, more than likely they don't want to do one. So they'll give you permission to do it and you can market it. You can make videos while you're there, throw your signs up on the street and just letting people know that you're holding it open and it's being held open by the Homer Group or whatever it says on your sign. So that's a good point.
on. Yeah.
Some secondary tasks the afternoon task, I've labeled them secondary tasks. And this is really just anything what takes priority in this is obviously going to be showings or listing appointments. But if you don't have showings or listing appointments, you can do more calls. You can send out emails to clients or prospects. But a couple other things that I put on here that a lot of people can start to integrate into their business is filming or editing content. This is a good time to go out and create new content. And then obviously you can, if you created content yesterday, let's say you created content on a Monday, on Tuesday, you can actually edit that content and get it ready to post for that week.
Right.
So I've got that as a secondary task. And then just doing property previews. There's a number of benefits to doing just property previews. I'll let you touch on them because I know you're pretty big into these.
Yeah. So, I mean, property previews again, looking at your hot sheet, anything that's new on the market. Um, when you're talking to buyers, you want to be able to talk to your buyers specifically about a property. And looking at it pictures online is just not going to cut it. So you got to actually know what's on the market in the areas that your buyers are looking for. And so you basically just schedule a preview, agent preview, 15 minutes, go, just like a regular showing. You go there, you walk through the house. That way, then you look at your buyer list, and then it's like, okay, who is a buyer for this property? Now you can talk more effectively about that particular property. So again, property previews is huge. And again, if you don't have any buyers, you got to understand your market. It's like you start, you go to all the new listings in the area. You're going through there. Now you start to understand this particular area, this house is priced this, at this price point, and the next day it pens. Now you know that that's probably a good price point for that type of house. Now you're starting to understand the market
Yeah.
and and what you might go through another preview and it's like that house is on the market for 2 or 3 more weeks. Then you're like, okay, the price was wrong on that one, for the condition. So you could start to understand the market. So again, if you're not doing anything, just do previews,
Yeah.
so, all right.
Yeah. And something that you did, before you went to a listing appointment, you went and you ran comps on a listing or on a property that you were going to go meet with the seller on. And before you went and actually did that listing appointment, I remember you scheduled, I think, 4 or 5 properties in our case, the Battle Creek market that were in that similar price range that you got for your comps. And you just went
Mhm.
and looked at all 4 or 5 of those properties just to get an idea of the condition that they were in.
Right.
You want to touch on that a little bit and explain why you
Yeah.
did?
Yeah, so, I mean, exactly. It's like when you're sitting down with somebody and you can talk very specifically about a property, like a comparison. So, because they're always going to bring it up. Well, this house over here, they listed for 250, and I want to list for 250, and you know that you've already been through that house. It's got a new kitchen, floors are, it's got new flooring, or the flooring's been updated, the bathroom's been updated, things like that. You're going through another house and at an appointment and they don't have a new kitchen, they don't have a new bath. You can talk specifically about that and why that, their particular house doesn't fit that price point.
Yeah. It comes with a little bit more of not authority, but trust from the seller standpoint of, oh, he's actually been through these. He knows what a good price is. So when you recommend a price to them, they're able to actually trust that price point that you give them, I feel like, in
Right.
that case.
Yeah. And even better yet, I mean, I've actually, before listing appointments, I've invited those people along to those previews. And
Yeah,
so they've actually gone through those houses. That's way more powerful
for
because
sure.
you get them there and they're walking through these houses and now they get to see like, oh, okay. And plus you get the benefit of seeing their reaction, things like that. Then when you go back to their house, then they're referencing the properties that you went through. Well, maybe, that one had a new kitchen. This one had a new bathroom. That one had an odor. etc. So
Yeah.
it's it,
I
it, it's great
study
if you can. It's more powerful if you can get them to come with
Yeah, for sure. And studying the properties that are listed on the market right now and get an idea of how many days or the average days on market for certain price ranges, I think has something to say for it when you do go meet with a client and you're on day 20, but the average listing in that price range for that market goes pending in about 30 days. You can kind of give them a sense of patience or security there or comfort.
you. Right. Yeah.
So obviously, we've hit the morning. The mornings are for your revenue generating activities, things that'll push the needle forward from a revenue only standpoint. And then afternoon is all the secondary tasks. So things that you've got to do in order to close deals, listings, showings, calls, emails, and then doing property previews. And then I think there's something to be said about evening activities. Now, evening activities aren't necessarily always like a constant in somebody's schedule, but it's something that you can put into your schedule to do like every Tuesday, Thursday or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I think the evening ones, in my opinion, are my favorite because I actually get some quiet time. I can throw some headphones in and like really focus for a period of time. Um, so the evening, in my opinion, what I've dubbed it as is a creativity or a brainstorming time. So what I what I like to do in the evenings, and yours might be completely different, but for me, it's getting ideas for new content, video scripts on what we want to talk about, video topics on what we want to talk about, getting an idea of some of the open houses that we might want to run for that upcoming week, but also just organizing and starting to fine tune some of the systems that we use in our business to help us generate activity. And one of those I've got here is just drip campaigns. Do you have a drip campaign? Because if you don't, then I'd probably recommend starting to create some sort of drip campaign. And if you do have a drip campaign, are they organized? And what I mean by that is this, if a new buyer comes in, does your drip campaign automatically kick off because it's a new buyer or it's labeled a new buyer? Or if a new seller comes in and they're checking the value of their home on your website and it comes in as a seller valuation, do you have a drip campaign that automatically kicks off because it's got a certain hashtag on it? Um,
Mhm.
and these are all things that help us, stay in contact or get in front of people without, while we're out showing houses, a new client might come in and we want to make sure that they get an email in that first 10 minutes that they access our website. So do you have drip campaigns? And if you do, how effective are they and how organized are they? Drip campaign, what do you think about drip campaigns? Effective, not effective, something that people need to have?
Well, I mean, obviously, I agree with you. So, I mean, you got to have it. It's the I don't know, the AI is big right now, but it's basically like your AI assistant, you know. So we get calls all the time. It's like, hey, I want to go see that house you sent me, and you got to like go, oh, you go in your system, and you're like, oh, okay, I sent them this house, you know, because you have no idea because that's that drip campaign, the alerts, those things just kind of happen in the background
Hmm.
as you're kind of fine tuning the timing and the searches and things like that, you know. So those are gold because as soon as like a new property comes on the market or drops into a price point or whatever, and it sends them an alert, it looks like you are just absolutely hustling all the time. You know, which is we are, but that makes it appear that we're even hustling even more and faster.
Yeah. Yep. And, it's important to understand too that as realtors, we only have so many arms and hands that we can do activities with, So if we're out showing a house and a new property comes on the market, you obviously want to make sure that your client's getting notified that this property came on the market. But if you're out showing houses, you can't be showing houses, looking at the MLS or the hot sheet, sending it to this client, making sure you're right in so it's important to try to automate some of the things in your business that are strictly centered around the client experience. You want to make sure that they're getting the first peek at a house that just came on the market. And the only way to do that really is using your CRM and using your
Mhm.
drip campaigns, making sure that everybody's set up on a property search to where you can go show houses, but you can also make sure that all your clients are getting notified of a house as soon as it does pop up.
Right. And kind of going along with the nighttime activities, I use that time to kind of to really focus on catching up. You know, because once we're done showing houses or whatever, it usually kind of starts to settle down for the day. You know, so you might have met or showed a couple of houses to some new clients. If you don't get them into your CRM, that's the time where it's like, okay, I can get them in my CRM. I can create that alert. I can create them in the for drip campaigns and just dialing that in. That way, you get 2 or 3 days down the road and you haven't put them in your CRM. I mean that's not a good process.
Yeah.
So it's like at the end of the day, you just catch up for everything that happened that day.
Yeah.
Getting in your sellers, getting in your new, your new contracts, the new buyers, just getting it all locked in before the next day's chaos takes over again.
Yeah. It's like a get caught up and then slash get ahead kind of time. Because if you're already caught up, now it's time to get ahead. And
Right.
a good way to get ahead and something that I've seen a lot of people start to like integrate into their business is just going back to the old fashioned calendar or planner, and you just sit down late at night, write down some of the things that you want to do tomorrow. So if you're doing this on a Monday, you're writing down on Tuesday, all right, I need to touch base with so and so, or send this document
Mhm.
to this lender. Some of those things that help you wake up and you already know what you've got to do for that day in the morning to make sure that all your stuff's still moving seamlessly.
Right.
Um,
Yep.
Something that I know we're going to touch on this on a different session, but some of the drip campaigns that we've got set up, I just want to kind of give people an idea of the different types of campaigns that we've got set up for the different types of prospects that are in our CRM. So like, for example, we've got a new buyer drip campaign, or a new seller drip campaign. What are some of the other campaigns that we've got in our system right now that you think are being pretty effective?
Well, I think the monthly newsletter campaign. So anybody that comes into the system, they automatically get a monthly newsletter from us. And again, that's both in Michigan and in Florida. So they get very specific newsletter for the area. Um, as far as a new when we put someone under contract. So then they go from a buyer in our system. So that buyer drip campaign's going, it's feeding them information, and we find them a house, we put them under contract, and then it immediately flips over to under contract, and then it kind of walks them through the contract process.
Yeah.
So it's been very helpful to explain the process to, especially to first-time home buyers, and people that have bought houses before, might have been a few years, and they just kind of forgot how the process works, and it's a good reminder. So
Yeah.
I think those are pretty good ones.
So in your opinion, how easy is it for as soon as somebody goes under contract, how easy is it for you to just go in and switch them over to now an under contract status?
Yeah, it's like 5 seconds.
So 5 seconds, but then they're getting touches on like day 9, day 15, day 20.
Right.
And then
Automatic.
yeah.
Yep.
And it's all, and you're out showing houses, and these emails and text messages are getting sent to these buyers, letting them know, here's where we're at in the process. Here's what the next step is. All
Right.
well, this is all automated, correct?
All automated. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, there's some setup. There's some setup to it, but
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't. Like I said, you take that nighttime activity time, and let's say you do a under contract drip campaign,
Mhm.
and just effectively use that. You got a buyer in there. You click under contract, and then it just takes over.
Yeah. And this we haven't rolled this out yet, but just to give people a little bit of a sneak peek is that the new agent accelerator course is that when the new agent comes into real estate and wants to start selling real estate or become a realtor, something that they'll get by joining, they don't have to join the Homer group, but they'll join like our mentor mentee program, is they'll get these campaigns, they'll get the tokens. So all they have to do is copy the token, implement it onto their CRM or KV Core in this case, and now they've got all of these campaigns, and all they have to do from there is, okay, client just went under contract, change them to the under contract status, and it kicks off for them. I
Yeah.
think that'll be something that's pretty cool and exciting to roll out here pretty soon.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
A couple other ones that real quick that I just want to touch on are closed clients. So as soon as somebody purchases a house or sells a house and they close on it, they get switched over to a closed status. And now what happens when they get switched over to a closed status is, in a year from now, they're going to get a happy home anniversary email. And then in 2 years, a happy 2-year home anniversary. Just the little things to stay in front of the clients and stay top of mind with them.
Yeah.
And then also like a for sale by owner. I mean, you can get creative with it. That's the cool part about it, is if you want to create a for sale by owner campaign, you can do that. And then you can organize it by hashtagging them FISBO. And now that person, that FISBO, is getting an email every 14, 20 days. And then you're also reminded to call them every 14, 20 days as well.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's almost endless on what you can do.
Yeah. And it's important too. I mean, like I was saying, is our heads and minds are in 100 different places at once as realtors. We're dealing with 10, 20 clients at one time that you got to make sure you're communicating with effectively, letting them know where you're at. So getting some of these systems that help automate some of your business activities, I think, is extremely important, and it does help somebody get to that point to where they're operating a real estate business that's generating 6 figures of income every year.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So,
Yeah.
um, anything that you want to add to wrap it up, or that you think is important to touch on, just with systems and schedules for realtors?
Yeah. I mean, again, another nighttime activity I mean, because it's the only quiet time we have usually, and that's just getting caught up with your education, your Con Ed, just kind of pushing your knowledge forward. Is being able to just kind of take a little bit of time. It doesn't have to be every day, but at least a couple times a week. Go for a designation, just kind of punch in and do 30 minutes to an hour, every evening before you really shut down. I think that's one thing that's lacking in this industry is people pushing and bringing on more knowledge. So with designations or with continuing education classes, things like that. I mean, it's so simple now. You can literally go on a website and through your local association or whatever, and you could be doing your Con Ed like within 15 minutes.
Yeah,
So it's there's no barrier. It's not like you have to schedule time to go to the association or a specific place, spend 3 hours or 4 hours there out of your whole day, and you're done. No, it's so simple now. You can do 30 minutes a day, or 10 minutes a day, whatever.
yeah,
So I always recommend people just continually to learn,
yeah,
because the market's changing. You're nobody is an expert, all the time, just because it's just changing all the time.
yeah. Markets are changing, rules are changing. It's important to stay on top of those things.
Yeah.
So, just real quick recapping. So, schedules for a real estate agent who's looking to make 6 figures or at least accelerate their business exponentially is, in the mornings, revenue generating activities. So to keep it simple, make your contacts in the mornings. In the afternoons, do your listings, do your showings. If you don't have either of those, figure out a way to make content, and then get the documents pushed to the necessary people to make sure that your files are all getting closed on time. And then in the evening, it's the get caught up / get ahead time. So get caught up on writing your offers from your afternoon showings, or getting your documents put into your SkySlope.loop, whatever it may be, whatever you use for your brokerage. And then getting ahead is just making a to-do list on things that you're going to do tomorrow that you need to accomplish, and just staying on top of it. And I think that's really important. If you can get a schedule that works for you, a schedule that you're seeing some results with, and just being consistent with it, is going to be the biggest thing for people who are looking to take that business to the next level.